Good morning, everybody. Orange J here with another War of the Visions video, and today we are going to continue the Esper tier list series by talking about magic DPS Espers, your best mage Espers in the game. We're gonna rank them, and we have a bonus account review at the end of this video from a new member on the YouTube channel as a perk for joining in that Saint of Eileen tier. But before we get to that, obviously, we're going to do the tier list. Now, keep in mind how I'm ranking these Espers. I'm going to follow the same type of rules that I did for the physical DPS Espers. I'm going to give Espers that are generically good, like stronger for more than one element, heavier, like I'm going to give them bonus points basically. Whereas Espers that are pigeonholed into one element only are going to be about a tier lower than they would be if you're running them in the proper element, because they're just generically not as good of an investment. Now, note the tiers. There's no S tier, there's just Bahamut's tier, and we just put Bahamut in Bahamut's tier, and he's going to sit there by himself. I think Bahamut is like the Esper in this game, that every time you pull a new magic scaling unit, you should get them resonance with Bahamut pretty quickly. He's just that good, and we can check out his stats as well. Like, we'll give him the full treatment besides just saying he's S tier. Agility 19, magic 113, lot of HP, good stats, has a decent thing here, and then his skill tree is really what sets him apart from everybody else. Note, like, magic up, good on damage dealing mages, support mages, good on everybody, human killer, good on every element, magic attack, good for any unit who uses magic damage, and then you have accuracy and crit rate as well, and you can very easily splash into a little magic resist up here if you don't want to use all the offensive ones. So Bahamut, easy S tier, and he sits alone up there. Now, next on our list is Aigion. I'm going to look at what these Espers bring. I'm going to do this in the reverse order. I'm going to look at what they bring to the table, and then I'm going to rank them so you see exactly why I do what I do. Now, Aigion is a hybrid Esper, right, in theory. 88 attack and 88 magic. So, should be good on both physical DPS and magic DPS. Also has 15 agility. That's average, you know. I think you've seen by now that 15 agility is a pretty average score for UR Esper. Good HP at 1298, decent dex and luck, and then when we look at his skill tree, he really tailors to lightning element units. I do like these magic nodes right here that lead to the lightning attack it up, but lightning attack up, water killer, slash attack, like if we take off his elemental specific killers and buffs, you're left with something that looks like this. It's not terrible. Like, magic up is super useful. Slash attack up, a lot of our magic dealing units do have slash attacks. They'll benefit from that, and then accuracy into crit rate. Now, if you're forced to run something like this, you do have a decent option of splashing in some magic resist or pierce resist, something along those lines. But clearly Aigion just better on a lightning unit when you can get these nodes, and even better if you're hunting water where you can pick up those nodes. So because of all of that, if we go back to the tier list, I'm going to throw Aigion into the I'm going to throw him into B tier, and I think he's going to be lower on the B tier than a lot of the other Espers we look at. Good for your slashing mages, particularly great on lightning or when you're hunting water. Okay, next up, Carbuncle is the next one we're looking at. Magic 112 is nice, 16 agility, so a little above average, low dex, but really nice luck. 1284 is good on the HP, and then bonus points to Carbuncle for having a special skill, right? If you can get Ruby Light cast, you get AoE Reflect. That's cool. That's really good. And with Terra running around now, you can boost Esper summoning gauges fairly reasonably if you're using her. Now, in his board, he is definitely tailored toward light element units, right? Light attack that comes off of TP with Dart Killer. If we remove his element-specific killers and buffs, you're left with accuracy that goes into crit evade and a little bit of magic attack. So as a generic magic Esper, his stat board is good, his summon ability is good, his skill level board here, kind of bad, unless you're light. If you're a light element unit, boom, you can go over here. Or if you're hunting dark teams, which is reasonable, you can go here. For those reasons, I think Carbuncle is better than Aigion, but is going to sit in the B tier as a generic Esper, which I think he slides up into A tier, low A, if you're using him on a light element unit. Okay, next up, we've got Diablos next. We just did a light boy, now it's time to do a dark boy. and his stat pool. Now, note the 14 agility. This holds him back a little bit. 14 agility is below average, but 116 magic is really nice. 1284 HP is good. Decent skill board. Luck at 66, I don't like that. But when we go into his skill tree, it's pretty good. He's a dark element Esper, right? But even to get to his dark attack, you get a ton of magic up along the way. This is good for supports. It's good for damage dealers. I really like getting magic up in this tree over here. And then if we take the light killer off, this is what you're left with when you're talking. Oh, I'm sorry. There's a critical rate node right here. This is what you're left with when you're talking about his generic build. And I think his generic build's pretty strong. You get a lot of magic. You get magic attack, critical hit rate, accuracy, and more critical hit rate. So he'll help you crit more. He'll boost your magic attack and give you a lot of magic. And then big shout out to the slash resistance. It's never a bad idea if you're hurting for places to put your points, to put them into slash resist. That's really nice, but I definitely think he's better as a dark attacker or light hunter, with a little bit of a bonus given to him with the prevalence of light. Light hunting is a big deal. The luck holds him back a little bit. Remember, he's low luck, which will hurt your accuracy when fighting some light teams. Not the biggest deal in the world. I think he's better than Carbuncle, but still a B tier Mage Esper in my opinion. Next up, we've got Europa. Now, this is one of our newest magic DPS Espers. Nice magic stat at 16 and pretty fast. 18 is entering that speedy boy territory. 75 luck is good. 1270 HP is pretty good as well. His skill breaks barriers. Also pretty useful, right? And then if we look at his tree, you can definitely see Europa is tailored for lightning element units. You have lightning attack with accuracy along the way. You have water killer. If we take those off, I'll leave the accuracy nodes on because those are generically good. Here's what you're left with his just like generic mage build, right? You get some magic attack, you get some accuracy, and you get critical hit rate. I'm going to take the crit evasion off. That's actually not a damage stat. So pretty limited here. If you were forced to run him on a non-lightning unit, you would probably want to be hunting water teams. So you could get this, or you could go for some pierce resistance or missile resistance and feel pretty good about that. But if you're a lightning element, you know, if you're lightning, especially if you're lightning hunting water, I think he'd be an easy A tier. But as it is right now, I think he's, you know, somewhere around that Diablos tier for me. And in fact, I will give him the edge over Diablos because Diablos is a slow boy. He's fast. 18 agility is useful even just for that. With all the magic that he carries on his stat pool, I'm going to go upper B tier for our newest guy there. Okay, who's next? Freezie's is next. Now, Freezie's is an interesting one because, again, it's a balanced Esper between attack and magic. So, in theory, good on both your attack scaling and magic scaling units. 15 agility, right at average, decent dex and luck, good HP, 1312 HP is pretty high. And then, if we jump into the skill tree, Freezie's is good on basically any ice element character, right? You have the balance attack and magic mixed with ice attack up. Again, if you happen to be hunting wind teams, you got wind killer. But if we take the elemental specific things off the board, there's not a lot left. Freezie's is more of a bruiser Esper, and you only get magic attack and accuracy in the generic DPS build. However, splashing into Spirit, this is one of the best like splashes you can do, right? Spirit is generically pretty dang good. So this build right here is a good base. And then if you're an ice unit, you can head this way, or if you're hunting wind, you can head this way. And if you're fighting wind with a DPS unit, this is a solid build, especially if you're fighting like a Halloween Little Leela or Marymore, where the Spirit will benefit you. That is not enough, though, in my opinion, to move him out of A tier. I'm going to put Freezie's up here around the Diablos level, just somewhere in mid B. I'm going to put him like a mid B unit or Esper and drop him off right there. Now, next up, one of my most used Espers in the game is Shiva, and she's one of my most used because she has 20 agility. She's also been in the game forever, which helps you get more uses because you've been in the game for a long time. Makes sense. But 20 agility is fast. This is the fastest you can get. 93 magic is lower than the others. Luck's a little low as well, and HP is low. So really, you're giving up a lot of other stats on Shiva for the 20 agility, but super useful on your slower units. When you go into her skill tree, definitely, right, ice attack and wind killer, so another Esper built specially good for ice mages. But if you take the elemental stuff off, you're not in too bad of a situation. She does have magic up nodes here, which help makes up for her lack of magic in her stat board. A good amount of accuracy, 4 entire accuracy nodes is nice. Again, helps make up for her low luck. And then magic attack. So this is your like base DPS build on a Shiva. If you're hunting wind teams, you can fill the rest out there. If you're an ice unit, you get a big boost here. And Shiva's really dang good. Good enough that I'll say she's top of B tier. If she just had a little bit more generic use, I'd bump her up into A, easily a top of A tier ice Esper, but generically high B. Notice how crowded the B tier is on this list because so many of these Espers are so geared to their element. It feels like that's especially true for mages. Now, next up is Siren. 19 agility really helps people use Siren. And Siren, again, one of my most used Espers in this game because of how widely easy it is to use her. Now, for mages in particular, 88 magic is low, 1152 HP is fairly low, luck 71 is decent. It's when you go to the skill tree here, right? Let's look at what Siren brings for a mage. Not a ton. Really not a ton. If you're a piercing mage, which do we have a piercing mage? I don't think we have a piercing mage in the game. You have pierce attack, but she's water attack, and if you take that off, it's crit rate and accuracy only. So really, what are you getting from Siren? Like, Siren is this weird jack of all trades Esper that's good to run if you want. I'm sorry, activation time down. I meant to have that clicked. This is what you're getting, right? So good on your mages that require activation time, and if you're building into fire killing or slash resistance. Like, this is maybe the ideal Esper build for her with water attack, fire killer, activation time down. In this regard, she's nice, but I think you mostly run Siren when you need a little bit more speed, you're a water unit, or hunting fire. She's like down here. I think I use her more than Diablos. I think Diablos has a higher ceiling on his dark units, so I'm going to slide her to... That speed is nice. Diablos is so dang slow. She's middle B. Low to mid B tier, in my opinion. Down here with Diablos and Carbuncle just kind of hanging out. Next up. Okay, next up we've got Ramu. Now, Ramu, middling agility, 15, middle of the road. Okay, good luck at 84, good magic at 123, and pretty good HP at 1256. If we look at his skill board, obviously Ramu is going to be great on lightning mages. If we take the lightning attack and water killer off, you're still left with a really good board. Ramu is a very good Esper for an accuracy build. Remember this high luck score of 84, that helps you hit, and you get 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, this is 25 accuracy right here. No, it's not. 10, 15, 19, it's 22 accuracy. That's a big number. That's a huge amount of accuracy. Really good for your mages that don't have 100% moves. Plus you're getting magic up and magic attack up. So in my opinion, Ramu is one of the better like pure mage Espers in the game. And with lightning attack up, if you're a lightning mage running Ramu, I think he's S tier on a lightning mage, which means I think he's A tier generically. Barely makes it into A tier maybe, but I really like Ramu as a magic Esper. If he had a little bit more speed, you could maybe talk about putting a tier between Bahamut and A and letting Ramu in there. He's still not Bahamut, even with a little more speed. All right, next up's a really interesting one, Tetrasilvid. Now, she's another Esper with 81 magic and 81 agility, so in theory can be run on a mage. 17 agility is pretty fast, good dex and luck, good HP. And when we look at her skill tree, what is she bringing? Well, if you're running her on a wind unit, you get a lot of wind attack and you get some earth killer if you're fighting against an earth team. If we take the elemental stuff off, you're left with increased AP, which mages don't really need, a little bit of accuracy, and there are some magic dealers in the game that can take advantage of missile attack. However, like, let's be real, Tetrasilvid is an evasion missile Esper. Like, this is more like what her core build is. She's not super good on mages. I'm going to drop her down into the C tier that could be considered a B tier Esper if you were talking about running her on a wind unit. she's an evasion Esper, mostly, right? Evasion missile, that's her jam. C tier if you're running her on a mage, in my opinion. Next up, Typhoon. Now, this is a big boy. Typhoon is one of the best magic espers in this game. Magic 123, solid, agility, middle of the road, good dex and luck, HP 1242 is good. And then when we look at the skill tree, okay, what are we getting here? So he's a wind element guy. That means you're going to get some earth killer, right? Well, let's drop the earth killer off. And then what are we left with? We are left with a ton of generic magic boosting, which is really nice. You get a critical hit rate up here if you go through evasion. You get a ton of accuracy over here, and you get wind attack. So we can drop the wind attack off. And then here's his like generic build. This is really good. Crit accuracy, magic up, yes sir, and then crit damage. Don't forget the crit damage. If you're gonna crit, do more damage when you do it. That's nice. Also, a lot of mages have slashing moves, so slash attack could be considered generic, just like magic attack could be. If you're a wind unit, boom, you got wind attack up options here. If you're fighting earth teams, you got earth attack options up here. Just generally speaking, an Esper that can build like this, I think is very nice. And then his stat pool backs it up. A super good accuracy Esper. I think one of the better magic DPS Espers in the game. I'm going to put Typhoon above Ramu into the A tier. Okay, now it's time to get to the MR and less than MR Espers. And we've got Bloody Moon leading things off. There's special awards to give out during the MR and less category, and those awards are the Are You an MVP of Cost Limited Format awards. Well, Bloody Moon's a hell of a place to start. 101 magic, really good for an MR, 14 agility, middle of the road to slow, but good dex and luck and good HP for an MR. Skill tree. Here's what you're getting from Bloody Moon. A lot of accuracy. Okay, I dig that. Magic attack is nice. A lot of magic right here. And for an MR, Esper, this is a lot of magic to pick up. If you need to add a little more points to his board, you have a very easy splash into Spirit, which is really, really nice. If you're fighting dark teams, you have dark resistance. If you're fighting fairies, I don't know, he's a fairy, I think. I don't know that we have many more. There's Fairy Killer for PvE. But there's Missile Resist up here, which is pretty good. Overall, I think Bloody Moon is definitely an MVP for cost-limited formats. I think he's a super solid MR Esper, so I'm going to drop him into the B tier. I don't know that he's better than the UR Espers just on stats alone, but he's definitely competing with these lower B tier Espers, and in cost-limited formats, any B tier or better is going to just be awesome. So there's Bloody Moon. Now, next up, Lamia. Lamia, again, one of those Espers that in theory can be both an attack or magic Esper, has both stats in equal amount, very low dex and luck, decent HP, and then when we look at the skill tree here, what are you getting from Lamia? This is where you can tell she's definitely more of an attack DPS Esper and less of a mage Esper. You have Ice Killer, which will ditch that unless you're fighting ice teams. Then you're stuck with just what? Some accuracy? You do have strike attack. There are striking damage mages in the game, so I will point that out. I guess if you needed accuracy and strike attack for and you were fighting ice, maybe there you go for a magic person that uses all that. Otherwise, she has a lot of strike attack. To get to this over here, though, you do have to pick up attack nodes on the way, so I don't love that so much. Does have water resist, strike resist. She's a striking Esper, and I think she's definitely more geared towards a physical damage striking Esper, so I will drop her into low C. I considered putting her into D, but there are mages in this game that use strike attack. And there's cost-limited formats in this game. There is a world where Lamia is decent. So, there we go. We'll drop her into C. Next up is Lich. Now, Lich has 93 magic. Okay, pretty good for an MR. Is the slowest of slow boys at 11 agility, low dex and luck, but good HP at 1283. What's his board bringing? Well, you have magic attack up over here, so that's generically pretty good. You have accuracy, which is useful, and then you have lightning killer. So let's say you're not fighting lightning teams. You would drop that, and this is what you'd be left with in a generic build. One thing about him that is good is it's easy to splash into defense. Defense and spirit are some of the best, alternative build options around, so that is nice. You do have some strike resistance, critical evade, wind resist, lightning killer, so if you're fighting specific teams, I could see how he would be good, but at 11 agility, it's very hard to recommend him. I will drop him. I'm going to go low C tier with no... I don't think he ever in any world is bumped up to B because his agility is so low. But I do think if you wanted a cost-efficient, fighting-specific team comps Esper, he can give you that defense, which is nice. So there we go. We'll go C. Okay, next up, we've got Mindflayer next. 112 magic, nice. 12 agility, just one more than the last guy, but that one counts. Good dex and luck, decent HP. If we go into the skill tree, you can see he gets a lot in here, especially if you're a water unit. If you're a water unit, you have water attack up that you get to by increasing magic. You also have fire killer. Let's ditch the elemental specific stuff, and you can see you're still left with a really good generic MR Esper. Magic up, hell yeah. Magic attack up, real good. Human killer, let's go. We haven't seen human killer on one of these boards since like Bahamut. Accuracy, nice. And if you need some more points to spend, you have HP up nodes up here, which is a super good option. So I think Mindflayer is one of the better MR Espers in the game for mages, even dealing with 12 agility. There's ways to overcome that with gear and stuff. I'm gonna put Mindflayer up here in this like Bloody Moon category. I think I'll put him better than Bloody Moon, in fact. So for cost limited MVPs, there's another one, Mindflayer, especially if you're running like a water team or something like that. Okay, Toneberry's next. Another MR Esper, 79 magic, lower than the others, 13 agility. It's one more than Mindflayer. Dex and luck are awful, down there in the 50s, with a decent HP at 1273. Now, lots of stuff going on this board here. Is a lightning element, so gives lightning attack up and has water killer. If we drop all of that, this is what you're left with in a generic build. You have magic attack up and a lot of accuracy. Honestly, not bad. Like, these are good generic options, especially considering you can easily go into some slash resistance, which is good on almost every situation. But clearly he's meant to be a lightning mage Esper in a cost limited format. At cost 30, it's not going to be too hard to work him into most things. Still, that being said, I'm going to put him down here into like the C tier, maybe somewhere about right there. And if he's on a lightning unit in cost limited, you could bump him up to something like a B. I'm not going to give him that like MVP of cost limited though, unless you're playing a lightning team or something very specific. Okay, White Dragon is next. This is one we could farm a while back. 112 magic, nice. 15 agility, very nice for an MR. 72 dex, 75 luck is good. 1116 HP is pretty decent for an MR. Okay, skill tree. Lots of stuff clicked right here. Let's see what we're looking at. Magic up, generically very, very nice. Dark Killer, he's a light element unit, so Dark Killer makes sense. Then you have magic attack up here, very, very nice. And then you have accuracy that goes into critical damage. If you remove the elemental specific stuff, you're still left with a very good generic MR Esper right here. Magic up is nice, magic attack up is nice, accuracy and crit damage good on everybody. Easy splash if you need to spend some more points by going into slash resistance, and if you're fighting dark teams, boom, you have Dark Killer. So I think this is a very good Esper for cost limited situations. I'm going to put him up here in that Bloody Moon Mindflayer area, you know, low B, and if you're fighting dark teams, maybe bumps up into like a low A in cost limited situations. Okay, Moogle is next. I'm sorry, Wintermoogle is next. This is an 88 magic Esper with 16 agility, so fast for an MR, low dex but good luck and decent HP. Also, another shout out for him, his summon is a heal, and it's a big AoE heal as well that increases evasion rate by 25 and critical rate for 25. That's unique. So that's pretty cool. You pop this in an evasion team, you got an evasion buff out of an Esper, which is interesting. All right, let's look at his board. Definitely, though, Ice Element, so meant to be played on an Ice Mage, Valentine's Day Solier, you know, Velis, something like that. Ice Attack with Wind Killer. If we drop the elemental specific stuff, this is what we're left with. You have magic attack up, generically good. You also have increased TP that goes into critical damage. Now, who cares about the increased TP, honestly? But the crit damage is nice to have. As a generic Esper, I don't think it's very good. On an Ice Element Esper, especially an Ice Element Esper fighting wind teams, I think it's good. I think it's pretty good. So I'm going to drop him in here into like the C tier as a generic with a, with note that you would scale up into B tier if you were running him on an ice team, especially in a cost limited situation. All right. Ocho is next. Big scary boy Ocho. Another one of these split between attack and magic espers. 69 of both, which is a nice stat. Anyway, very low dex, very low luck, nice amount of HP. Nice. I'll stop saying that. Anyway, here's your deal with Ocho. Doesn't have a lot going on as far as damage. You do have some magic nodes for generic goodness right here. And then you have lightning killer and accuracy into crit rate. If you take off the lightning killer, right? So the elemental specific part, magic up is good. Accuracy into crit rate is good. Easy splashes right here into defense. So a little bit of bonus points right there for the splash into defense. Slash resistance also good. So let's call him a decent limited cost bruiser mage Esper for somebody like a Killfay, right? One of your mages that has to kind of get close, get in there and mix things up. This is kind of the build, and if you can add that lightning killer in because you're fighting lightning teams, even better. So Ocho's another one of these people to me that slides in down here into this C tier, generically speaking, but easy bump up to B tier in cost limited on the right team. And next up we have the god of cost limited award winner of the year, and that's Cactar. Now, here's the deal with Cactar. SR, so only cost 20, which is a super big good thing for him. Agility at 12 is slow, but costs 20, remember that. 95 magic on him is good for an SR. 822 HP is low. 77 dex, 86 luck. 86 luck on an SR Esper. What the heck? Then, if we look at his skill board, check it out. You have magic up nodes. Okay, that's great on everybody. Magic attack up, great on everybody. Human killer. Look at all this human killer he gets. There's 7, 9, 15, 19, 22, 24? It's 25, 9, 15, 17, 24. What a number to end at. 24 human killer. Oh, and you have crit rate. So look how just generically great this guy is. Like, I'm not going to lie, you guys. Cactar, you could just drop him into B. Like, he's as good as some of these MRs. Now, he doesn't scale up with, like, in fact, as a generic, he's like here. If you're just talking generic Esper, he's as good as these generic MR ones are. The difference being, with the generic MR ones in B tier, if you put them on their specific element, they elevate to A. Cactar will not elevate. There's no, like, elemental boost he really gets. However, 20 cost. He's a 20 cost and he's B tier, which is, you are generic good. So that's my tier list, guys. That's going to be my tier list for the Espers. Let me know what you think about it. Do you agree that no one is in Bahamut's league? And do you agree with my A tier ones? I bet you, I don't know. I'm curious to read the comments on this. Now, I do want to get to that account review next. We're already at like 28 minutes in this video, so this is going to be a long one, but account review incoming. Okay, so for the account review, you can see here we have Shuichi Utazu. I hope I read that right. And here's how Utazu over here, Shuichi, describes himself. He says, been playing since Final Fantasy VII, currently Royal Rank 10, spends about $200 a month. So there's the spending level in Royal Rank for anybody who's wondering about that. Goals, aiming for 5-man squads of each element maxed out at 120. A good goal for like those, score competition, getting the high scores on those high difficulty levels. And then also aiming for some more competitive PvP teams, maybe looking to break into some high level guild wars, something like that. So let's review the account. First up, Fire Team. Well, you have a really good start on your path to 5 really good fire units. King Mont, Terra, Glaciella, Setia, and Rain is a really solid 5-man squad. Right now, it looks like your best 3 are the King Mont and the ladies, with Setia is a great mix-in to these teams. In fact, King Mont, Terra, Setia is my current PvP team for Fire. Really, really strong. Okay, next up, we have Ice. Now, Ice, what do you got? You got, we got Valentine's Day Solaire, Aranea at your 120s. Rosa and Victoria are coming up with Velis, and then you have Gilgamesh at 99. These 6 are some of the best ice units in the game for sure. Laswell and Velis also very good. I'm sorry, Laswell and Velric also very good. Gilgamesh to 120, especially with his latest upgrade, is like a top tier unit. So if you were going for a top tier PvP comp, I would look at Gilgamesh. Victoria is sneaky good, and her royal rank, her new master ability, whenever it gets upgraded in JP, will really help her out a lot. Good support here with Rosa. Like a lot of ice teams, sort of missing out on that like tank unit here, but a solid start here for the ice account. Next up, Wind. Okay, June, one of the best tanks in the game. Tifa, good unit from that FF7 collab from right when you started. And then Marymore. These three right here would make a really interesting like tank plus 2 strike units team. That team would be very hard to tank. You also have Ayaka and Varouche coming up as your remaining 2. I can definitely see what you're going for here, and that would be a very strong 5-man squad for PvE. Like, good damage mix, a healer, and one of the best tanks in the game. So, good job there. Earth element. You've got Noctis, Oberon, Ketone at 120, Halloween Fred at 115, so probably sitting in the barracks, getting those shards up. That would be a great compliment to Ketone as a duo with somebody else, or like an Invasion Earth team. I would look to get Moraga up if you can do Earth Selection Quest. The 120 Mont, the Lorenzo, and Etra, that's a... Oh my god, yeah. You've got the characters to do Earth Selection Quest. Getting this Moraga up would be a great addition for your future 5-man Earth squad there. Lightning. Okay, here's the strength of the account right here. Look at this Lightning setup. Renan, Charlotte, Abara, Esther, Cloud, Freddy. Boom, that's the Lightning meta team right there. You got the 6 beasts of Lightning ready to rock. You have so many different team comps you can make, whether you go pure magic, pure missile, pure slashing, crazy DPS team, super good. And Makoto just dropped, which would be a nice addition to this squad if you just wanted to have some fun, but you don't need any more Lightning units, right? Your Lightning is set. There is a support Lightning unit coming out down the road that you might look to invest in. Okay, water. Celis got the water tank and Summer Elsie, so good base right here. Leveling up farm is a really good idea for water, especially for those future 5-man PvE teams you're talking about. She's a huge enabler for water killing bosses, but you're pretty far behind on water compared to the rest, right? You're going to need some more, like, if I'm looking at your account here, who would I target? I mean, like, Ildir is very easy to build with her stuff being in the metal shops and would add a nice support to this team. Raychez, I think this is a very strong selection quest unit, so maybe look there. Moore's one of my favorite units in the game. That's what I'd look to for water. All right, next screenshot, light. Here's another power of your account, right? Okay, Locke, excellent. Summer Kilfei, real good. Lucio, freest guy in the game, besides regular Mont. Jaden, real good. Thancred, better than he used to be, but you only have it 107, and that's fine. You don't need to level Thancred. And then Starlight Ellen at 120. What I would say your light team is missing is Engelbert. If you could get Engelbert put into this 120 range, you would instantly have the most meta teams in the game, right? If you were looking, like you said, to break into that high-level PvP, Engelbert plus, you know, Elena Lucio, top-level PvP team. Engelbert plus Elena Jaden, or, you know, Locke Jaden, something like that. Those are like the highest-end teams in the game. So Engelbert would be my suggestion for light. And then here's dark. Okay, really solid base here. Ruinstern, Black Rose, Helena, and Golbez. So 3 of the stronger dark units. Lemure's coming up. Promptu at 115. Again, I hope Promptu is in your barracks. Getting those shards, he's very worth 120ing. What are you missing here? What you're missing is probably Dwayne. I think there's worlds where Whisper could fill that void, but it's a big drop-off. If you were looking for your like best 5-man dark team, I think right now you could do like your top 5 leveled units right here, and that would beat most content. You don't need a tank for most content in the game, but that is like, Dwayne looks to be the missing element right there, in my opinion. Okay, next up, we've got a party example. So, it looks like what you're trying to do for your current evasion team right here. You sent me more screenshots of some other team comps. Here's my tip for team comp building in this account. When you're going for something, and this looks to be going for an evasion team with Jaden. This is a meta-ish team. I would say it's like a tier down from an Engelbert type team, but it's very scary. You don't want to face this team if you see it, in most cases, unless you're built to beat it. But what I would suggest is if you're going for evasion, go for evasion. Don't hedge, right? I see what you're doing here on Elena. There's like good evasion stats on this sword. Her TMR has decent evasion on it, and you're trying to get some accuracy as well. Okay, with Locke, yeah, you've got his TMR, you've got his dagger and the human killer, but Locke in particular right here, I think is missing some evasion from his gear. He would really benefit from like a +5 piece of evasion gear. That would help him out a lot. The build on Jaden here is fine. I would actually move the glasses to Jaden, give him that accuracy, and maybe go a little bit more evasion gear for Starlight Elena. So that's the thing, right? When you're going for very specific comps, and the weakness with a lot of comps that I've seen is gear. People just don't +5 gear. Like, just don't farm it. And if you want to compete at that highest level, you do need +5 gear. Okay, let's continue. Vision cards. So really good selection of vision cards right here. Nice mixed elements. You have the good generic one right here with Black Rose Helena. You got Dark Odin for your wind and light teams, or wind and ice and water. What the hell am I talking about? Anyway, good mix of 99 vision cards. A lot of UR99s. That list continues until where? Here, Igaion and Omega. I think Igaion is really worth leveling if you're working on these in like your daily grinds. I would put Igaion in there for my daily ones. Omega is another good one there. Laswell's, if you're ever going to play ice, Laswell's vision card is amazing for it. Odin VC is good. Like, single target resist is nice, and the human killer on it's nice. I wouldn't stress about that one too much. And so, yeah, I think you have a really good selection of vision cards. A strong vision card account. Gear. Now we're to the part where it's like, yeah, this is where I kind of like confirm what I thought. There are some +5 pieces of gear in here, specifically weapons. Terra Sword +5, Lionheart Replica, LOL, Lionheart Replica is funny. Gigantic Axe, like this it's not bad. It's just funny because like it's been in the game forever. Okay, yeah, and then like having these, especially these bingo board weapons, leveled up is also a big plus. You have those, but then there's just not, like, if we continue on, there's just not enough +5 gear in my opinion. Dark Glove +5 is nice, but no Pious Glove +5. Spine Blade's only at +3. Shadow Dragon Staff +5 is nice. Valiant's a +3 if we continue on. Like, where's my +5s? Especially, like you said, and I didn't even include all of the screenshots here because it's kind of just the same story. Like, where's your +5 accessories? I don't see very many of them. Where's your +5 gear? Like, I didn't see any on the screenshots that got sent. So that would be the thing I would target next if you were looking to take that next step in PvP specifically. And if you don't want to farm it, right? I do understand the desire not to farm, right? I get it. Now, personally, I just put my phone on auto farm and go set it down and go play Echoes of Mana for a while or something. But if you don't want to do that, just watch the shops. It is worth the, like, sometimes it's only 1,500 viz, sometimes it's 2,000 for a fully farmed out +5 piece of gear. That's worth it. That's worth it, especially if you're somebody who spends a little bit, and you do spend a little bit on the game. Okay, Espers. Just like your vision cards here, I think this is the strength of the account. Not only do you have a lot of them, you have the good ones. Odin, 99. Bahamut, 99. Dark Odin, 99. You have the trio of generic badasses with the useful other ones as well. And that list continues down here into the Mindflayers of the world for cost. Titan, super good. Yo, I would definitely level, our Wind Boy here. I think that's worth doing. I think Fenrir is definitely another thing I would target. Behemoth, or Fenrir, Fenrir and Typhoon I would target. Behemoth is a great one. Freezies, I like that one a lot as well. And then don't sleep on Cactar. Don't sleep on Cactar. He's only level 3, cost limited. He's going to really help you out a lot. Demon Wall. Yes, okay, level Demon Wall. Put it on your tanks. Best tank Esper in the game, level Demon Wall. Other than that, yeah, I mean, I would also, Death Machine's worth leveling, I think, as well. For evasion, I like the Bird. Bomb cost limited, very good. Bloody Moon cost limited, very good. And there we go. Okay, so that's the account review. To kind of summarize here, gear. I think that's your big shortcoming, and you did mention that in your description of yourself, right? You said, yeah, I just don't like farm a bunch of gear, but you also mentioned you wanted to get into that like top level of PvP. Gear looks to be the thing, in my opinion, that would be holding you back. Nothing else is. Like, you have the characters, you have the vision cards, you have the Espers, you can put competitive teams together right there. And honestly, if you were good at picking matches, you could run Arena. You can run Arena with an account like this. It would be maybe in like that highest tier of Guild Wars where you might run into some problems. And there you go. Okay, everybody, thank you guys for watching. Let's kick it back into full screen mode. Long video. This is like a 30-some minute video. These account reviews add a bit to the end of them. If you stuck around for the whole time, you're a freaking hero, and I appreciate it because it helps the algorithms on YouTube if you do that. So, you know what else helps the algorithms? Liking and subscribing. And you know what helps me out? Becoming a member of the channel. Hit that join button, and if you want an account reviewed on a video as well, join at that Saint of Eileen member. Hit me up in Discord. We've got another one coming very soon, and it's a Kraken level one. Get ready for a big time review coming up next time soonish. All right, see you later, everybody. Peace.